with Chuck Bowser, RCDD. Well, seeing how we're pulling Category 6A, the most powerful twisted pair in the world, you gotta ask yourself this one question. Did I pull 295 or 300 feet? Well, do you feel lucky? Do you, punk? What exactly does RCDD stand for? Registered Communications Distribution Designer. Just the expert you need to ensure your cable plant performs exactly as designed. The elite professional, knowledgeable, and experienced in leading-edge ICT design principles. Now, send the new guy to the truck for a bucket of dial tone and the cable stretchers, while you listen to an informative program on telecommunications.
Alrighty. I hope this is still working. I had an internet glitch. If my guests can see me and hear me, do this so I can know them working right. Yes, yes. Welcome TikTok, welcome LinkedIn, welcome YouTube, welcome Facebook. Thursday night, 6 p.m. After Hours Live, where you get to ask your favorite RCDD questions about installation, certification, design, project management, even career path. But we always start off every show with, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? Now, normally I'm drinking some kind of Zevia soda, but check this out. It was 40 degrees in Central Florida today. 40 degrees. You know what that means? Chuck's drinking tea. Yes. I'm not a coffee drinker. So there you go. But remember, this is an after hours show, so adult beverages are allowed. So if you're drinking adult beverage, that's fine. Let us know in the chat box what it is that you're drinking. Shotzi is in the house. He's drinking Dr. Pepper as usual. And so it's good for him. Some other people are drinking some other things as well. What are you guys drinking on TikTok? Let me know in the chat box. Let me know what you are drinking. The next step is, don't forget to check out our QR code. Okay, the QR code, I'll put it right here up on the screen so you can see it, because this show is free and it will always remain free, but it does cost money. So check the QR code. You can buy me a cup of coffee. If you buy me a cup of coffee, I will send you some show stickers. You can also schedule a 15-minute one-on-one Zoom call with me after hours, of course. Matter of fact, I got one scheduled for tomorrow night, actually. And then you can also become a Patreon member. And I'm also looking for corporate sponsorship as well, because my wife is getting kind of tired of me footing the bill for this show. I'm doing it because I love doing the show, but she wants to know, where's the money you promised me at? So working on that side of the issue. Right? So happy wife, happy life. Isn't that how that worked or something like that? Yeah. So now we always move into the acronym challenge, because, you know, that's the thing I'm known for. The acronym for tonight's show is straight. Remember, this month, October is Fiber Safety Month, so we're talking about fire stuff. So this acronym actually comes from the fire section in the TDMM, MCM. Low Volt Warby's in the house on TikTok. Hello, Low Volt Warby. What does MCM stand for? The first person who can tell me what it stands for, I will send you a set of show stickers. MCM. And nobody's going to take a guess, or am I going to have to just kind of assume that nobody knows this one? Going once. Going twice. 3 times the charm. MCM stands for, guess what? 1,000 circular mills. But Chuck, it starts with an M. I know. M is the Roman numeral for 1,000. 1,000 circular mills. So a 250 MCM wire is about equal to 250 times 1,000 circular mills. It's a way to describe how big a conductor is. So there you go. So now you know. Remember, knowledge is power, right? And that's the theme of the show. Now comes the motivational minute. Now this one's actually a pretty cool one. This one actually comes from Ariana Huffington, not somebody whom I normally quote because I don't know much of what she says. Her quote says, "We need to accept that we won't always make the right decisions, that we'll screw up royally sometimes. Understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is the part of success." We Failure is a powerful teacher. You learn from reading books, you learn from watching webinars, you learn from listening to podcasts, but you really learn when you make a mistake because especially if it's a painful mistake. The more painful, the more you learn that lesson, right? The more you learn that lesson. And so I thought that was kind of a cool quote. I thought it kind of fit in with this week's show. Did you catch last week's show? The one that just came out on Monday. We covered the difference between mechanical and non-mechanical fire stop systems. Again, continuing the fire theme for October Fire Safety Month. And I'm trying to line up an interview on next Monday for fire stop training class. So, and then also, this is pretty cool. Did you happen to see, and this is not because of my guest, I actually had this in my notes before she agreed to do this show. Did you see the September to October cable installation and maintenance? Issue to do like this. This is a live show. There we go. There we go. That works, right? I tell you, there's this guy named Murphy. He attends every single class, every single show. He's here today. My camera just fell off of the wall, so I'm gonna have to hold it for the rest of the show. Yes. So, anyways, I was in a magazine. It was a magazine about the trends of the ICT trade skills gap. Okay, we're having an issue. And matter of fact, today's guest is the author of that article. Betsy, how are you doing?
Hey, Chuck. Thanks for having me on.
Sorry about the technical glitches here. I mean, I'm sitting there talking, all of a sudden my camera just goes clunk. It's like, it's a live show. It's a live show. So for those who may not know you, I know you, but for those who may not know you, give us the 15-second, and I can't put that on vibrate because it's doing live broadcast. The 20-second, who is Betsy Conroy?
I am a freelance writer in the industry. I've been in the industry for more than 20 years. I maybe shouldn't give the total amount of time because then people know how old I am. I'm also the chair of the Women in Bixie Work Group, which was something that I founded with some other women in the industry back in 2014.
Very cool. So I'm not here to talk to you about that amazing article that you wrote. I'm here to talk to you because you sent out an email earlier this week about a scholarship thing, right? And the scholarship thing is it's based on the Women in Bixie. Can you give us a brief background of what exactly is Women in Bixie and what's its purpose?
So Women in Bixie was kind of something that I brought up as an idea for some other women. There's not a lot of us in the industry. And we felt that it was time to have a group where we could sort of empower and motivate each other. So we formed a group back in 2014. And I think it was a couple of years later that, we had held some meetings. We had a lot of interest, and Bixie said, all right, we're going to make this an official Bixie sanctioned work group. So we are a work group under the Professional Development Committee for Bixie. We've got about 250 participants, and we have our own official Women in Bixie LinkedIn page for anybody that wants to join in the conversation.
Even men?
Even men, yes. We definitely welcome men, especially men who are ready and willing and able to help us as women succeed in the industry. So really the goal of Women in Bixie is sort of to foster involvement, career and personal growth and professional development for women in the industry. When you're a woman in an industry that's, 90% men, it can be kind of difficult to, get your foot in the door or to speak up. And so, the purpose was to really kind of have a place where women could go and get advice and mentorship from other women in the industry. So we do a lot of activities. Actually, we hold webinars. We have a column in every issue of the Bixie Insider that communicates all the news and information that's going on for members. And it's called More Than Words, and it's a short column written by women who have some advice or insight or an experience that they want to share. And we're always looking for volunteers. So if there are any women out there that want to present on a innovative and industry related topic that would inspire women, we encourage you to reach out. And if you have something that you want to share in a More Than Words column, we're always looking for writers. It's a very short column. It's only 500 words. If you have something that you want to say, and we will actually help you with editing and grammar and all of that, if that's
Nice.
something that you're not super confident with. So yeah, we do a lot. We're also very closely tied to the Bixie mentorship program. So as chair of Women in Bixie, I actually participate in the mentorship committee as well. So I work to help pair female mentors and mentees. I check in with them from time to time, and honestly, I've seen a lot of great progress. I from mentors helping their mentees study for their RCDD, or even some of the mentees are already have gotten their RCDD, and their mentors are providing them with advice for maybe managing contractors, or they're sharing resources, information around different technologies. So that program is actually just starting to gear up right now. So if anybody is interested in being a mentor or a mentee, they can now apply through the Bixie website for the 2023-2024 mentorship program. And honestly, Chuck, it's really a two-way street. And I don't have to tell you this because you already know it. But, when you're a mentor, you get to contribute to the development of the next generation and take care of that skills gap that we wrote about in the article. And so you get to serve as a model, and you build long-lasting and cross-generational relationships with people. And if you're a mentee, you get an expanded professional network. You have the experience of somebody that can be a sounding board for your ideas or your challenges or your career path, whatever it is that either you're struggling with or need guidance with. So, and I've seen participating mentees even end up with new roles and career advancement through this program. So definitely encourage anybody to do that. The other thing that we do is for Women in Bixie is we hold a lot of events whenever we can. We just had one at the fall conference. If anybody was there, it was during Wednesday's exhibit hall lunch, and it was practically standing room only. I mean, it was
Oh, nice.
amazing. We had our vice chair, Carrie Getz, RCDD. She did a presentation on how to build your career, and it was very well received. So, yeah, so we're gearing up for the winter conference now.
Yeah, I know what you mean about, because a lot of people think that it's a one-way street with mentor mentee, and it's not. Because I've mentored people over the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, and the last year I had 3 people that I mentored actually pass their RCDD test, and I tell you what, I'm almost as happy as they are, because you get, because you realize that you helped them actually achieve one of their goals. And one of them who just passed recently, I told her, I said, how are you going to pay this forward now? That was my next challenge after she got her RCDD. I said, how are you going to pay this forward? So she's supposed to be looking into the Women in Bixie and all that other stuff as well too, because it's
Oh, well, she could become a mentor herself.
exactly.
So
She's running, because she wanted to join my study group, but I had a full group at the time, so I said, look, start your own group. I'll pop in from time to time, and I mentored her after as well. And she's running that thing like a champ, buddy. I'm telling you, just
that's
like a
awesome.
champ. So yeah, it's you get a lot out of being a mentor. Sometimes a lot of people don't really get. So I like the fact that you're doing articles and you help people write, because that's one of the biggest challenges is in our industry is, even though we're in a technology field, there's a lot of people who don't even know the home row on a keyboard, and
It's
forget
true.
about writing. I mean, it's absolutely true. I hate to admit it. We could terminate a single mode fiber, but heck, if you want someone to type their name or address in a form, they just don't get it. So I'm glad to see that, because there's people like you who are professional writers who can look over and say, oh, you're using the wrong tense here. Maybe let's kind of expand. And I think that's a great idea. I really, really
Yeah,
do.
and when you combine writing ability, which to me is almost it's like an innate ability. It's like whether you can sing or not sing, you can write or you can't write. There's it's just kind of something I was born with, but I've also got that technical aptitude, which allows me to, understand and grasp all of the different technologies and the concepts in our industry. So,
Right. Yeah. The hardest part to writing is getting started.
oh yeah,
That's the hardest part.
even
Once
for
you,
the writer, Chuck, even for the
oh,
writer.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Because a lot of people don't know this, but when I publish the shows, unless it's an interview, I write the show out like an article, and because that helps me kind of formulate my thought process and the flow of the show stuff. And I learned this from college. You know, every Monday I had to go. I went on Monday nights, and you had to bring in a paper. And my friends would call me up like on Monday morning. Do you have your paper done yet? Like, no, I'll do it at lunch. And then I come in, after class, 750 words, 1,500 words. You wrote that today? Like, yeah. And that's because I was an estimator and I was always writing scopes of works and stuff like that. And it just the hardest hurdle was just getting started sometimes. Just getting
Well,
started.
and it's that first paragraph, even with the article that you mentioned earlier. Yeah, I don't remember how long it was. Maybe it was 1,000 words, and I probably wrote it in a day. But I can tell you that the first paragraph probably took the longest.
Yep. So tell me about some of the things that show up on the Women in Big C LinkedIn group. What kind of stuff shows up there?
So the Women in Bixie LinkedIn group is where we pretty much post about different events that are coming up, or to promote some of our webinars or the More Than Words column, really anything that's kind of going on. We also, anybody can join that group. We get some job postings and opportunities. I mean, we've had IBM and others on there that have kind of really specified the fact that hiring women is a big part of their initiative. So we've posted some jobs in there. So yeah, and any kind of awards or really anything that has to do with, women advancing in the ICT industry.
Yep. So you guys have a really big event coming up here soon, right?
We
The
yeah.
Women in Big C Cabling Skills Challenge.
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit
so
about that.
it's well, what we kind of do is, the winter conference is always the big conference, down in Orlando. That's in Tampa, in for this coming 2023 conference. But we hold an event. So Women in Bixie we have what's like it's a yearly breakfast event, and it's on Tuesday at the conference. It's sponsored by Sumitomo Electric Lightwave. And it takes place early in the morning. It's from 7 to 8:15, so it doesn't interfere with the opening keynote speaker or any of the other conference. So it's a great place to come, and men and women, we encourage, anybody that's going to be at the conference to join the event. It's a good breakfast, and it's an opportunity to network. And we always have a really inspiring speaker who will, speak about some, industry related presentation, and women in the industry. So there's going to be a lot more details to come on that event. It'll be in the, conference program and everything. But as part of the winter conference, a huge initiative for us is also to provide financial support for a female contestant who's been accepted to compete in the Cabling Skills Challenge at the conference.
Hmm.
And that's very exciting. So, and most of your audience probably knows what the Cabling Skills Challenge is, but it's it's a real fast paced, sort of exciting competition that takes place throughout the conference. Um, there's a bunch of competitors. They kind of face off in a series of cabling installation challenges: copper, fiber, testing, fire stopping, you name it. And then they're right there on the show floor, which is really cool because they're getting
Hmm.
cheered on, and you can see how things are going. It's a really neat event. And the winners, there are winners in all the different levels for installer and technician, and the overall winner gets the title of Bixie Installer of the Year and a check for $5,000. Now, there haven't been a lot of women that have been, there's not a lot of, female installers and technicians out there, and we haven't had that many women competing in the event. So we got together, it's probably about 5 years ago, and said, well, what if, unfortunately, sometimes women are at a disadvantage in terms of financially being able to travel to, Orlando or Tampa to participate in the competition. A lot of them have children and, family duties that they're dealing with. And COVID really kind of, shed some light on that when you had a lot of women that left the workforce because they had to take care
Right.
of kids because there was no school. And so, we just thought it would be great to have a way for, a woman who might want to compete in the Cabling Skills Challenge to be able to do that. So we've actually created a grant. It's the Women in Bixie Cabling Skills Grant. It's made possible through Bixie Cares. They have a professional development and scholarship fund, which is a year-round fundraising effort that anybody can commit any amount of dollar to at any time. And the funds from that scholarship, part of those funds go for this Cabling Skills Grant. And so essentially, this grant is designed to provide funds for a female that wants to compete. And those funds apply to travel costs, hotel, airfare, any kind of transportation, and even meals. So it's actually great if there's somebody out there who's maybe company isn't able to, support them financially to go and compete, or if they, are a business owner or individual that's a Bixie installer or technician and they want to compete and they need some assistance. If they're, you know, a woman ready to do it, we're ready to help them. So it's
Is there a way when you donate to that fund that you can earmark hey, I want my donation to go to just the women's cabling challenge, or does it just you don't give them that option?
it's a general fund, but the nice thing about that fund is everything in that fund is designed for professional development and to help promote, Bixie to the next generation. So really, those funds might not just be for women in Bixie. It could be for other emerging professional events or scholarships and things that, come up in the future. So
Right.
so if you're donating to that, you're donating to you're helping to promote the next
Right. Right.
generation.
Right. So they go through the same skill sets that the guys go through, right? I mean, there's no it's exact same skill set.
Yeah, so to be considered for the grant, you actually have to also apply for the Cabling Skills Challenge and be accepted to compete. So you're basically on par with everybody else in terms of, getting that approval. Once you've been approved, or actually you can even fill out the grant application before you've been approved, but you have to be approved to get the grants. Then you have to fill out a separate application for the grant itself. And but yeah, everybody goes through the same skill set. There's, based on their level. So to compete, you have to have a current, installer one, installer two, or a copper fiber technician certification at the time that you apply to compete and at the time that the competition takes place. So we've had situations in the past where people maybe have applied to compete, they were accepted, and then their certification lapsed before the
Oh,
conference. So I definitely recommend, that you keep your certifications up to date if the Cabling Skills Challenge is something that's on your radar. So
that's the thing that a lot of people kind of don't think about because Bix has gotten a lot better about sending out email reminders and stuff like that. But it even happened to me one year. I got a letter in like the first week of January that my RCDD had expired, and I was in full panic mode. I was like, "What?" Luckily, since I got in the first week, I was able to. I had all my CECs ahead of time, so it was just a matter
oh,
of
that's
getting
good.
the funds to them and stuff. So I was like, "Whew, I don't want to take that test again." So do we have anybody signed up any for the women's challenge?
Well, not yet. So we're just in the process of, the Cabling Skills Challenge application opened a few weeks ago. So that is available now on the website. The application for the grant is now available. And we won't actually determine, who gets that grant until all the applicants are in, and then we'll take a review of them. So the deadline to apply, I think, is December 31st for the grant. And I think it's the first week in January for the Cabling Skills Challenge application. But it's really best to kind of maybe do both at the same time if you're thinking that, you're a female that wants to compete and could use this grant. So,
Yeah, that was my next question. When is the last day that they can apply for this? Because
yeah.
I guarantee you there's gonna be some people who haven't heard of it yet. That's part of why that's why when you said, hey, I was really trying to push you for tonight to get you on here. So because the way that the podcast works and things show, the more time it soaks, the more views it gets.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to go ahead and get it done so it was out there so people can see it and all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm going to be donating. I am. That's why I'm going to challenge people on LinkedIn to donate too. I just wish I could earmark it. Hey, I want this to go to the women in Bixby for the skills challenge.
But all the funds are going to help close our skills gap.
Yep.
Whether that's, women or men or thems or theys, that's what it's there for. It's to really try to encourage, that next generation of Bixby ICT installers and designers. So,
yeah,
and I just want to say one thing, Chuck, is that, and not everybody on here it may be a woman who's, ready to compete, but you may know somebody.
Exactly.
So if you know of a woman in the industry who is a Bixby installer or technician who is interested in competing in this challenge, but kind of thinks, hey, I can't afford to go to Tampa, or my company's not going to support me. You know what? Spread the word. That's one thing I just definitely want to get out there. Spread the word that there is an opportunity here. So.
And that's my challenge to everybody listening to this show on TikTok and watching us today or in the future. Think of somebody and tell them about this and get them in it, because we do need a more diverse installer base, more people in the industry, and we're getting better at it. I think we could do better, but we're making progress,
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to remember, women make up more than half of the population, and we have an industry that's, starting to age out, and we need to attract younger people. I'm not mentioning any names, but
You're surely not talking about me. I'm 21, my 32nd anniversary of 21, but
you and me both, Chuck.
yeah, well. I show my age a lot worse. Let me just put it that way. So.
It's easier to hide with hair. So,
what do you think I shaved my head for? Because you don't see the gray hairs as much. Any final parting thoughts?
No, just, if you are interested in this, I highly suggest you go to the Bixby website. You can go to the Cabling Skills Challenge site to fill out the grant or the application for that. You can click on Women in Bixby, and that'll get you to the grant application. And if you have any questions, anybody can always email us anytime at WIB, which stands for Women in Bixby. So it's WIB@bixby.org. And you can also, join the LinkedIn group and reach out to me on LinkedIn if you've got a question, or if this is something you want to know more about. I'm happy to have a conversation and point you in the right direction and give you all the information you need. So.
Excellent. Let's get this out there and let's get this done. I'm ready. I always love a good challenge. I'm ready for it.
You don't qualify for the grant, but I'm trusting you to help me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I will make this challenge. I'm not the challenge, but I'll make this promise to you. At least once a week, I will mention it on my LinkedIn feed. At least once a week.
That's awesome. That'd be great.
Because that's the least I could do. Because like I said, I talked about this before. I'm trying to leave the industry a little bit better than the way I found it. Not that the way I found it was horrible, but it could certainly be improved. Certainly can be
changing with the times.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Betsy.
Yep.
Until next time, remember,